Let's take a look at how we judge our behaviors and how we have this tendency to attach meaning to what we did. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you got irritated with your partner. Then the monkey mind kicks in and says something like, you should know better. You always mess things up. Notice, the monkey mind is attacking your character in that moment. It's not really looking at the behavior. You got irritated. That was a moment in time. But it's actually giving meaning to what you did, and it's defining you by what you did. No wonder we're stressed out of our rockers, because we're listening to this monkey mind that's incessantly just won't stop judging what we're doing. Now, where does that come from? Initially, when we grew up, we were corrected. And the way we were corrected was all related to keeping us safe. For example, maybe our parents said, don't touch the hot stove, don't put your finger in the electrical outlet, don't cross the street. And all of those were super well intended. They were corrections that we needed. We needed to learn how to navigate our world and stay safe. Eventually, though, what started happening is the comments became more about being socially acceptable. It was just as important as physical safety. It became about being adaptable to society. You might have heard comments like, why did you say that? Everybody's looking at you. And what happens over time, we have so many of these corrections about being socially acceptable that the monkey mind starts building a protection mechanism. It starts thinking, oh, if I'm acceptable, then everything will be okay. If I measure everything I do, if I take a look at my performance, then this is how I measure the stress level that we can have with other people, and this is how we measure whether we're acceptable and whether we belong or not. And fast forward to today, let's go back to the example. Let's say you're irritated and you lose your temper with your partner. In that moment, that monkey mind comes on board and it says to you, look, you shouldn't do this. What's wrong with you for doing it? But this way of treating ourselves creates an enormous amount of anxiety, because it's not even about the situation anymore. It's about our character. It's about who we are as a person. Imagine if you actually took the time to become aware of how many times during the day this happens. How many times does the monkey mind kicks in and makes some commentary? It's like a radio we're listening to that's constantly attaching meaning to whatever behavior, whatever it is you did, said, or what other people are thinking about you. This is where the focus goes. And it keeps creating this constant anxiety in your body. Now, this is not a way to live. And I'm sorry that this exists in the fabric of the society we live in. And you're not alone in this. And anyone that I think would take the time for a minute to reflect on this would notice that this is actually epidemic in our society. My invitation is that when we actually learn to connect with this monkey mind, not try to get rid of it, not try to judge ourselves more, because that creates a loop that we get stuck into. But instead of attaching meaning to the behavior, what if we could actually look at ourselves candidly? Take a moment to reflect on this. The person who cares deeply about the relationship, meaning how you show up in relationship, is already there. You don't start thinking that you shouldn't have behaved a particular way and get irritated because you don't care. You actually care deeply. And that person is actually there before you lose your temper. You care deeply, and that's the core person that you are. But yet, it seems so difficult to actually connect with that person because we're listening to this commentaries from the monkey mind that tells you that no, actually what you just did means that you don't care. But is that really true? It's not. The caring person truly exists without any attachment to any behaviors. And it's strange for most of us because we haven't spent time there. We haven't spent noticing what's underneath the behavior or what's even ahead of the behavior. The truth is that we care deeply, we love deeply. We might not always react in the way that we want. That's understandable. But developing the capacity to see that the caring person that I am is not attached to a behavior. This is the path to releasing the deep anxiety that exists in us, because the anxiety and the source of the anxiety truly comes from a mindset that keeps pushing forward in the future the person that we think we should be by judging the behaviors we just did. Correcting the behavior is going to make you a better person. Does it? That's what we need to pay attention to. It doesn't. The second thing we need to pay attention to is that we actually are this person already. The actions are wonderful, especially when they're actions that we want and that support others and that support our values. But even without any of those, we are still that person. Now, here's what's really tricky about this monkey mind is that it doesn't just judge what it calls our bad behavior. It also judges our success, the things that we do. Think about how we have this tendency to attach value to that as well. If somebody at work praises the work that you did, then we attach the behavior great work equates great person. Ouch! It's the same principle. But the great person was already there before the great behavior of creating this project. It's so ingrained, this pattern of constantly measuring ourselves by our behaviors, that it goes unnoticed. And it can be life transforming to just notice it. That's what the antidote to the monkey mind is noticing, is coming up with awareness. This is a pattern we do every day. Noticing shouldn't be that hard. It's about being aware in the moment, and usually you'll have friction inside of your body. That's your signal. You'll have a sense of, ooh, like this feeling of I did something wrong. That's like a feeling of anxiety that exists in the body. And train yourself to just notice those moments of friction. And then simply, my invitation is this. Take the time to connect the dots and ask yourself, what story is my monkey mind making about my behavior right now? And is that true? Thank you for spending this time with me. This podcast is meant to be more than just information. If there's one thing I've learned over the years is that we are wired for connection. And if we are to learn the skills of living beyond this monkey mind that can be so overwhelming, it's best to do it together. And for that purpose, we've created groups. We call them pods. And we name them Aviv la Vie, which means live life to the fullest. Come and join us.